Very worrying. This is what makes endless narcissistic suffering and get God's punishment. You must always be cautious and on your toes when interacting with a narcissist, because you never know what will set them off or how vehemently or violently they may react to something. Due to their unpredictability, you learn to monitor your speech and behavior around them. They are impulsive and quick to wrath. What, however, explains their prompt response? Why are they behaving so inappropriately? Everyone. In this episode, we will discuss the 5 reasons why narcissists respond so swiftly. Before we commence, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications by clicking the bell icon. Stay until the very end, because the 5th one is where the story begins to get really intriguing. So, let's commence. The first is that narcissists conceal a large deal of information. Narcissists conceal the fact that they prefer a relationship in which you contribute and they receive, as opposed to one in which both parties contribute and receive. The last thing they desire is for you to convey your preferences and inquire about their plans, strategies, and routines. Regardless of your actions or words, they expect you to continue contributing. When you ask a query or bring up a problem, they become extremely upset and irritated. In this circumstance, they feel no obligation to respond. The consequence is an angry response intended to suppress you. You learn to self-censor out of fear of their response, regardless of how respectfully you express yourself. Even if you say exactly what you want and create the optimal environment for them to listen without becoming defensive, they will not listen. They will respond, but continue to disillusion you. Why? They are causing you harm and abusing you, but they cannot reveal the truth. To prevent others from seeing their true selves, they adopt normalcy and even sociability as masks. If they intend to keep you around and give you false optimism, they will sprinkle their response with crumbs of hope. Moreover, and this is our second point, narcissists struggle to regulate their emotions. Early on, narcissists learn to turn off their emotional processing centers. As a result, it is difficult for them to regulate their emotions. They bury their emotions so deeply within their minds that they eventually decompose. Then, a trivial occurrence activates a memory of their terrible nature. To avoid confronting their underlying feelings of shame and insecurity, they construct this false identity. However, its performance is not always as expected. A small amount of memory and a minuscule trigger are all that are required to set up a complete and absolute shit show. You will emerge from this situation worse than they. This situation is insane because the trigger pattern is never recognized. In their perceptions, you are responsible for everything that is wrong, despite the fact that it is actually their own problems and trauma. They constructed a barrier to exclude foreigners. It is humorous that they ultimately cause harm to others. They are emotionally opaque due to emotional immaturity and lack of development. Because anger is the most apparent emotion to display and the quickest and easiest way to gain control of a situation, aggression and intimidation are all they know. As a third reason, they are always endeavouring to refute any claims made against them. They sense the constant need to demonstrate their value to the world by gaining the admiration, approval, and attention of others. They cannot tolerate being neglected because it causes them to experience humiliation that could be fatal and destroys their sense of individuality, superior to all others. A perfect person who has no use for other people. When you disregard their needs or refuse to comply with their demands, they become hostile because they perceive you to be undervaluing them. Not adhering to their instructions is interpreted as disobedience and lack of loyalty. Not being their ideal source of supply infuriates them, and they will stop at nothing to teach you a lesson. However, a narcissist is incapable of recognizing that they are dependent on others and survive because of them. I prefer to refer to them as mutated codependents instead of extraordinary. Despite their best efforts to convince you otherwise, they care far more than they do about what you think of them. They feel an internalized obligation to present an ideal image. Since they do not know who they are, narcissists suffer from emotions of insignificance and shame. They require frequent affirmation from others to conceal their negative emotions and feelings of worthlessness. They persist in self-aggrandizement and believe they are in every way superior. They can be extremely demanding due to their preoccupation with perfection. However, this is not how things operate in actuality. Alternatively stated, perfection does not exist. Obviously, none of our actions are perfect, but that's okay. However, the narcissist struggles to embrace this. When something or someone is imperfect in their minds, they go insane. Therefore, they deny to acknowledge their limitations. Therefore, they make impossible demands on you and on themselves. Their suffering is purely internal, which is why it hurts so much. They press us to take action against you due to your persistence. Addition is always beneficial. Despite the fact that they are oblivious to the fact that they are their own slaves, they believe that other people are responsible for all of the detrimental outcomes in their lives. The fifth explanation is the most compelling. They have a high sensitivity to criticism. Narcissists cannot handle any type of criticism, whether real or perceived. It is their sole serious defect. It makes them feel as if they are losing control because it awakens all the humiliation they have been trying to suppress. They act in an animalistic and erratic manner in an effort to exert control over the external world, of which you are the most essential component. They transform into their demonic selves when criticized. They adopt all necessary measures to avoid detection. They are so furious that they destroy everything in their way. Assuming you are similarly prone to act impulsively, this is quite true. If narcissists misconstrued our criticism for genuine criticism, they would become violent and cause property damage or physically assault us. For them to cease, imploring would be necessary. There was no sense of regret or remorse. In an essence, narcissists have a negative response to criticism or negative feedback. This is all I can say in the video for today. Please give this episode a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with your peers, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Regardless, I look forward to seeing you all again in the near future. However, we must begin enhancing our health immediately.